Good morning, everybody. I would just like to welcome you all to our final information webinar on the first MUSAE Open Call. This morning, you will be hearing from MUSAE team members who will give an overview of the first open call. Firstly, you will hear an overview of the MUSAE project, followed by information on the application and residency expected results, and then a colleague will then give some advice on how to submit a proposal. At the end of the presentations, there will be time for a Q&A, so please feel free to put a question into the Q&A box. Finally, just to make everybody aware that this webinar will be recorded. I'll now hand you over to Mita for the first presentation.
Hello, everybody. I'm Mita. I'm a member from Polini team, and today I'm going to introduce you the MUSAE project. I'm going to explain basically the objectives of the project and also what we are aiming for. So maybe next slide, please. Yeah, I'm going to start with a bit of a curiosity for you about the name of our project. We decided to get inspired from Greek mythology of the Muses. Basically, they were inspirational goddesses of literature, science, and arts. And so we thought to use this metaphor as a way to say that different kinds of art can inspire and support innovations. Next slide, please. So in our consortium, we are 10 partners from 6 different countries. And of course, we cover different kind of expertise. So we have art, we have design, we have, of course, nutrition, and also we have partners specialized in technologies such as AI, robotics, and wearables. Next slide, please. So our overall objectives in the MUSAE project is to make a MUSAE factory model which integrates artistic collaboration in digital innovation apps through a design future art-driven method. And that the method basically merged together art thinking and design future. So in this factory model, the key elements will be, of course, the stakeholders involved, so the people, basically, artists, technologists, designers, food experts. Of course, also the technologies that we're going to use, AI, robotics, and wearables, and the environment that the project is set in. So digital innovation apps, starts ecosystem, and university. Next slide. So, as I said, the MUSAE factory is made to support companies, small and medium enterprises, and startups in envisioning future scenarios for innovative technology, but also for social and sustainable challenges. And that's for us is quite important because, of course, I mean, designing new technologies that can tackle future challenges are important. But also social and sustainable challenges are a way to think in an innovative way beyond only technologies. And since we are supported by Horizon Europe through STARTS, for us it's quite relevant to go beyond just one field of expertise. Next slide, please. So the main objectives of the MUSAE factory, the factory are 5. The first one is, of course, to set up the MUSAE factory model in digital innovation hub to foster this structure and continuous collaboration. Bit of a crash. The second objective is to design, implement, and validate the design future art-driven method. And the third one would be piloting the MUSAE model to explore future challenges in the field, let's say, of food as medicine, which will be the main thematic area of the project. The fourth objective is to create links between MUSAE model and the STARTS ecosystem to reinforce the model and push it in other digital innovation hubs around Europe. And the last objective would be also, I mean, of course, disseminate the MUSAE factory model in order to support the method and make it sustainable even after the project, to increase also technology awareness. Next slide, please. So as I said before, the main thematic area of the project is food as medicine. And this topic for us is quite relevant because we see it related to mental and physical well-being, like personal related to the person, but also to planetary well-being. We see food a topic very interconnected to different area of our life, related also to our planet. So we want to work with artists that have this holistic approach to this topic. Next slide, please. And of course, in the thematic area of food as medicine, we propose three main tracks that artists can explore by choosing one of each. We are going to introduce the tracks in a moment, but for now, I'm just going to say that the tracks will be reducing carbon footprint in dietary behavior, role of food in holistic human well-being, and rethinking the food chain in our environment. Next slide, please. So another core part of our MUSAE factory is the DFA methodology, as I mentioned before. The method is merges together the design feature method and the art thinking approach. So we're working with our partners Gluon and UBArt, University of Barcelona, to create this method in order to include the strategic thinking from feature thinking, and also creative and lateral thinking from our thinking, in order to support the collaboration between artists and companies. Next slide, please. So the method will be applied in two main pilots, and that we also called like art tech experiments. So as you see, we have a first pilot here, the blue one, which will be related to an exploration that we are going to do to produce scenarios. And the second one will be mostly related to the creation of concepts related, like concepts of possible innovative projects that will be based on the scenarios previously developed. Then there will be another phase of prototyping that will, let's say, be the final part of our pilots. And of course, in each of these pilots, we will engage with the stakeholders, local experts, and of course, there will be mentoring sessions for either artists and companies. Next slide, please. So as you can see here, that's the main process of the MUSAE project. I'm going to explain more in detail. So we have here our first open call launch. We will select 10 artists that throughout the residency will produce 10 scenarios, and they will have more time also to produce an artwork that will also be shown in an exhibition. The 10 scenarios will be made of a virtual narrative and visual representation, and we will use those scenarios to launch the second open call. Because of course, as I said, the scenarios will be the basic of to start the second residency program. So in the second residency, artists and SMEs can apply together to take in consideration one of the scenario that the scenarios that have been developed, and from there they will start developing 10 concepts related to the scenario chosen. And as I said, there will be a third part of prototyping that will bring the concept developed into a fully tested prototype. Yeah, artists, exactly like in this scheme we use the word artist, but we want to specify that the word artist is actually quite broad. We want to include also designers, speculative designers, but in general creative that can work with technologies and are interested in exploring future scenarios. So in the end, what we are going to deliver to Digital Innovation Hub will be a factory, the factory model that comprehend the factory core method, so the process, the tools, the guidelines, the Open Call residency format, so to allow digital innovation hubs to use the format as something to propose again and again. The training and the mentoring guidelines to manage artists and the training itself. The DFA project and best practices. So even during this first year of preparation, we are collecting case studies and best practices to use and to release after the MUSAE Factory. And lastly, an integrated stakeholder network to support the project in future years. Next slide, please. Yeah, so this was the main introduction. Then I'm going to introduce you to the MUSAE application, and we will see what we expect, the results that we expect out of it. Next slide. As I said before, as I said before, the MUSAE project, to apply to the MUSAE project, we need, of course, a motivation to join MUSAE. So we want to read your goals, your what you expect, etc. A critical vision of the thematic track, and a critical vision of the technology you in your vision. And that means that you don't have to specify like the use of the technology in your idea, but like a general idea of how you envision these technologies related to your thematic track. This first architect experiments or residency will produce, as I said, a scenario and an artwork. So we are going to explain what is a scenario and what we mean with the artwork. Next slide. So about the scenario, we define scenario an hypothetical story created with the sufficient amount of details to explore a future vision, a possible future. That future is not a prediction, like this story is not a prediction of what will happen, but it's more something, an alternative that we want to explore with you, a simulation of a possible future. And so the final scenario that artists will develop will be based on a narrative and a visual representation. The format of the scenario can be like a podcast, a visual representation, as I said, artifact, storyboard, video, or website. And the main components of this scenario will be, of course, making some world building. So we want to see like this future vision needs to be grounded in a world that can exist in the future and needs to have some characters, let's say, or we call it personas. And maybe artists can also think about future artifacts, so physical things, real things that can exist in this future scenarios to give a bit of a like concrete perspective over this future image. The next presentation, the next slides will be about what will be an artwork in the MUSAE project. And so from here, I'll leave the word to my colleagues.
Hello, thank you. Hi, my name is Diego, and I'm part of the MUSAE UB Arts team at the University of Barcelona. In recent webinars, we have been talking a lot about artwork and conceptually reflect issues related to food, technology, and the future. Now we will have the opportunity to talk and visualize some proposals that have inspired MUSAE when we were designing the Open Call. The first artwork is titled Domestic Data Streamers, made by Fundasplay, and an average person eats 80,000 times in their life. That's 85,000 opportunities to contribute to a system that directly shapes the environment around us. The exhibition Menja Actua Impacta, Eat, Act, Impact, stems from this idea and aims to change mindsets in a journey through different interactive installation experience that reflect on food being a powerful leverage of transformation and to inspire a new future for food. How can our food choices transform the world we live in? Maybe a collective impact calculator can help us answer such a complex question. The installation around a room of mirrors is a data reactive piece that changes depending on the amount of people in the exhibition. Using counter technology, the room is able to modify its contents, providing tailor-made message that speak directly to the visitors. What impact will every person in the room have if they didn't eat meat for a year? Or how much CO2 could they save if they are shopped locally? How much waste could be prevented if they started recycling tomorrow? The collective impact calculator is a living data experience that proves how joint action is linked to actually change. What does the future of food look like to you? The journey follows with a food market containing 14 different future food scenarios, and they are likely to happen in the coming years. In this context, we wanted to ask the visitors how plausible these scenarios are and how much impact they can have. This part of the exhibition is navigated digitally through a web app and asks dichotomous questions and ends in a final screen that shows the data in real time on a dynamic visualization and provides conclusions about the general perception of the visitors. Okay, next slide, please, and next slide. The second artwork is titled Future Food Formula, made by Chloe Dutcherbel. The Future Food Formula is an interactive installation that allows consumers to step into the shoes of a high-term farmer, and design their personalized future vegetable without the use of GMOs, but making smarter use of technology to influence natural growing conditions. Adjust the receipt on the touchscreen to see how your input affects the size, color, taste, and nutritional value of the crop. In this artwork experience, you can design your own vegetable by adjusting the growth receipt. The visitor learns about indoor farming in technology and plant physiology while designing their personal future crop. Next slide, please. It's not only the amount of light and water that impacts the development of a crop. Factors such as humidity, airflow, light spectrum, CO2 concentration, and the pH value of the soil are equally important. In fact, the adjustment of one growing factor can already influence the shape, size, color, smell, taste, texture, and nutritional value of a crop. Inside high-tech growth facilities, each of these environment factors can be simulated and determined separately. The values are written down in so-called growth receipts. Because tomato plants react differently to certain environmental factors than lettuce, scientists create a specific receipt for each crop. This is why the farmer can decide either the growth of the crop, it is a regular growth cycle, or to optimize the growing conditions in order to increase the quality of the crop or incite higher yields. So today, scientists are experimenting with this technology, but mainly for efficiency purposes. What did we explore? The limits of this technology and experimented with the use of growth receipts for purposes and other than efficiency. Okay, the next slide, please. The third artwork is titled Plant Machine. It's made by Spela Petrick. Ply, the third work from Spela Petrick's opus Plant Machine, embraced the notion of a play as an ontological condition of all living bodies, including plants. The act of playing, unlike games, which are limited by clear rules or goals, reflects the curiosity of existence and is therefore at the heart of self-knowing. The point of the departure was the question, what would it mean to make an artificial intelligence that thinks of itself as a plant? The idea is derived from her curiosity about the wider relationships between people and plants, as well as the increasing use of machine learning algorithms that inform our understanding of the world. Next slide, please. Play is a process lasting several months in which plants grow from seed at an AI robot whose perceptual world is limited to them, interact with each other. They play beyond the human time scale premises a glimpse of artificial intelligence as formed by the plant, and conversely, a morphology of the plant imprinted by the intervention of the robot. Ply is an expression of bodies in their shared struggles and decide to thrive, regardless of how risky and precarious the conditions are. Through Ply, what is a plant, what is a machine, what is a human, what is a non-human blurs and overlaps, we become bodies longing, embracing the joy of a play while becoming otherwise. The question is, how far can we transform each other in the act of place with mutations? Are we ready to embrace the risk of change to become with the plant machine that Ply proposes? Okay, next slide, please. The last artwork is titled Albert's First Place, made by Next Nature or Non-Human Nonsense. This design studio behind the project at the center of this scenario have used to AI bots to develop Albert's First Place, a playful take on Albert Heijn, the Netherlands' largest supermarket chain. This visual experience is powered by an AI chatbot. The team has trained the bot to converse with consumers and help them identify their specific worries concerning to environment, as well as get a sense of their favorite food or products. Then produces a product recommendation based on those concerns. Next slide, please. The supermarket is our modern day savannah. We have evolved from an environment where our food had to be gathered and our game hunted. Today, we forage for our food on the supermarket shelves, collecting our fruits and vegetables in a plastic market. Much has changed. Our food supply seem abundant, but our food system are unsustainable. How might this alter the supermarket on the future? Albert First Place will open up a dialogue on how these systems can be better understood and therefore addressed in the future. The project seeks to find a balance between personal consumers' habits to the responsibility of the wider food structures set in place. A playful critique of a system of hunting and gathering that is not sustainable. Avocados from the Americas, strawberries in winter, non-human nonsense, addresses this commodification of nature in our indoor shelter savanna. Next slide. Okay, we hope that all these artistic works have seemed interesting to you, and we recommend to explore these projects and others that can motivate and inspire you when proposing your own artworks. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, thank you. Now I will start to talk about how to submit as proposal, the format, and general deadline. Thank you. So what is this open call about? We will have 10 artists that will participate in the 7-month residency program. These 10 artists will create 10 scenarios and artworks based on the 3 thematic tracks and at least one of the 3 technologies that are present inside the open call. Each artist will receive a lump sum. Each winning artist will receive a lump sum of 40,000 euros per project. And in case you want to have more information about it or you have any problems, you can go inside our main website here and see the official documentation for the open call. Inside here, there is also a form for question and answers where you can, in case you find yourself in or you find yourself that you have some problems in completing the open call. Thank you. In completing the form, please read this document to see before asking us so that you can have the information added a bit faster. Next slide, please. Okay, so who can apply? We have some eligibility criteria that we need to respect. First one, and most important, it needs to be a natural person, natural or legal person. So can be a self-employed individual or a legal person under the code of artist creation. It needs to be established in one of the countries eligible for Horizon Europe funding. You can find all the country lists inside the general annexes, still inside the proposal. The topic needs to at least cover one of the thematic tracks and a critical reflection on it, and at least one of the three technologies already presented. The proposal also needs to be submitted in English, so we cannot accept any other language. Next slide, please. Thank you. So, general review, we have three topics, thematic tracks. First one is reducing carbon footprint in dietary behavior. So second one is the role of food in holistic human well-being, and third one is rethinking the food chain in our environment. Under these, you can find some possible challenges that you can answer. We encourage you to go beyond that and propose more challenges and solutions. And for the technologies, we have artificial intelligence, robotics, and wearable technologies. Next slide, please. Okay, so as already presented, we expect that the winning team, the winning artist will, during their residency program, will have produced one scenario and one artwork. It was already presented, so I'm not going to continue with this, but we also expect that participants or winning artists will have the possibility to travel to our partners' institutions to receive the training for the residency program, needs to provide the narrative of the scenario. And for the second part, so after the first open call, we will have a second open call. And in the second open call, you will need to follow and mentor the teams that will take your artwork scenario and produce some work on them. So lastly, it's develop the artwork. Next slide, please. So how are we going to evaluate? We have three main criteria: excellence, impact, and implementation. Each will have a grade from 1 to 5. In case of parity or in case of equal scores between participants, we will have the option to assign or choose the highest score between starting from impact. So, for example, if two artists will have same overall score but different score in impact, we will we will have the artist that will have the highest score in impact. Even if the impact score is the same, the second option is implementation, and the third one is excellence. So, next slide, please. How the process will develop. After your proposal submission, there will be an eligibility check to see if the criteria of eligibility were respected. We will have then a remote evaluation with expert committees that will evaluate the proposal that arrived. A consensus meeting where there will be a selection of the finalists of 15 proposals. And finally, the jury day, in which we will decide for the 10 winning artists. And then after that, the 10 winning artists will have to sign the agreement, and then we can start the work for the residency program. Next slide. This is more practical. So how can you apply? First of all, you need to apply to the platform F6S. Here is the link. After that, you can go to our MUSAE Open Call. Here still the link, and you can apply by responding to the questions that are present in the form. Please remember that you should have a CV updated and a portfolio with projects related to your choice, so that we can better understand what you mean inside the proposal. Finally, wait for our reply. We will reply to you that if the procedure is done correctly. You will receive an email with your form, so your question or your answers to the question as a PDF file, so that you can review what you wrote. Next slide, please. So this is a general overview of what will be inside the form. We ask for general artist information, so this is important to check the eligibility criteria. Main information about the proposal itself, so describe the proposal and your motivation. We also ask a general budget, so to provide a general idea on how you are going to spend the money that you will receive. It's divided in personal, other costs, travel, and indirect costs. In case you have any question about it, please look inside the form, the official documentation inside our website, or ask us by email. Finally, the portfolio, where you should provide a portfolio or of a PDF file of maximum 30 megabytes related to your choice. You can have or can upload two portfolio in case you have two projects that can be related to the thematic track that you decided. We cannot accept more than two, and please make them really related to it, not as a general idea of what you do. Next slide, please. Finally, the deadlines. The final deadlines will be the 5th of June at 12. Each proposal that will be received after deadline will not be considered, and also if you submit through other channels will not be considered. For more information, this is our mail that you can reach to, and we will reply to you as fast as we can. Next, and so now we can start with the questions, if there is any.
Thank you all for your presentations. We hope that has cleared up if questions for any of our attendees. But if you have any further questions, now is the time to put those into the Q&A box and we can address them for you. Okay, so first question. For the first open call proposal, should I only consider the scenario and the artwork at the end, not the prototype? Right? And I might just direct that to Ottavia. Would you like to take that one?
Yes, no problem. Yes, for the proposal part, you will just have to explain your vision about these thematics. Inside the residency, you will have to develop the scenario and then an artwork. And after that, there will be a second open call in which you can also participate again, or try to participate. And in that open call, there will be the prototypization of the idea. So not in the first call, and you should not consider that for now. Hope it's clear. If anyone else wants to add something.
Thanks, Ottavia. Any other questions? Okay, so another question. So critical vision, should it be written like a sci-fi story, or does it not matter how it is written? Maybe that could go to Marita. So critical vision, should it be written like a sci-fi story, or does it matter?
Sorry, I have a problem with mic. No, critical vision should be is sci-fi story for us is quite strange storytelling, because it's we mean I don't know, like we wanted to see the vision for the future, about the future in food as medicine. So sci-fi story is something that is more utopian for us, and so is not connected to reality. In our case, we want something that is connected to the real world, something that we can drive through our process. So for us, sci-fi story is maybe not the right way to describe the critical vision.
Okay, thanks, Marita. I have another question in the chat, which goes as follows. Is it necessary to be an artist? I'm a nutritionist with training and experience in industry and food technology, and I have many artistic interests. I do not know if my profile meets the program requirements. They consider themselves an enterprising person with the capacity to develop different projects, and I've always wanted to express my knowledge in a more artistic way. So I guess basically this person isn't an artist. So do they meet the criteria? Does their profile meet the program requirements? Do they specifically need to be an artist? Octavia, do you want to take that?
Maybe I can comment.
Yeah,
Maybe I can comment on a more broader profile that we are looking for, and then Otavia can also say about the specific requirements that we are looking for. I think if you're a nutritionist and then you already have some artistic, as you said, interest that you have been engaged with, that's good for us, because actually we are looking for very different profiles. It's not only artists, as Mida said before in the first part of the presentation, is also we are looking for designers, creatives, and like people who express themselves in different ways regarding artistic or design-led activities. So if you have a very specific interest in nutrition, is great. And if you already, as you said, you can express yourself in the different mediums, artistic mediums is great. So this is perfect for us. And then maybe Otavia can comment on the specific part about the application.
Yes, I will try to respond. Usually, like I think, like if you read the guidelines of applicants, it's specifically said that it should be an artist, so it needs to be legally considered an artist to participate. Even if the nutritionist is can be interesting to have, I cannot say more about this. We need like the eligibility criteria is set. I cannot accept a nutritionist at that.
Yeah, I think is if is a freelancer, we have the problem. There is there are rules, but some is artist with a code, but some can be someone that has VAT. And so I think is possible if you have you can apply with these rules. So it's not artist is broad, and so we let open to experiment, because for us it's fundamental to experiment. We are creating a new process that merge design futures, as Mida say, design futures with our thinking process. So we are experimenting something that finally we have to release to the digital innovation hubs. And so could be very interesting for us to have different profiles in order to apply with them this process and to understand and to co-create with them this process. So I think that if the rules are respected, for us it's not a problem.
Thanks, Marita. That's all the questions that are in the Q&A box. I might just, oh yeah, there always another one comes in when I say that, which is great. Oh yes, that person who was just asking about the artistic background has just said that they have a small background in food designing, but designer art is not their basic training. Thank you for your answers. I understand your position. So thank you, Joanna. Okay, I think that is all our questions. I might just hold for a second. I might just ask one question to Octavia. Is it one application per person, per artist, or could an artist apply to the different thematic tracks? Or is it strictly one per person?
In general, should be one per person. In case we see that there is more than one application, we will need to decide better, but I think it's just one application per person.
Okay, thank you.
Can specified inside the form that you can apply for, you can specify more thematic tracks, but will be decided just on only one.
Okay, thanks, Octavia. Let me just check. So another question, can a project bridge different thematic tracks? Mida, would you like to answer that?
Yeah, so actually, let's say to be introduced to the process, we usually suggest to bring one thematic tracks to start, but it's not necessarily that you exclude the others, because through the process you're going to expand the tracks, re-merging it with other thematics. So if you are able to link these tracks to the others throughout the process, I think it's totally doable. And also, I mean, all artists are invited to do that, because there will be like a main part inside the process that will ask artists to create a thematic area that would be quite big and quite relevant for the making of the scenario. So I think it's totally fine. Yes.
Thank you. So we also have a question about costs. In terms of indirect costs, this person has asked, can you explain what indirect costs are? Give examples of them. Octavia, would you like to take that one?
Yes, I'll try to. Indirect cost can be anything as just for any cost that can derive from, I don't know, travels, or can derive from the personal cost, can be included. It's not that there is so many examples that it's can be considered for everything. It's just the other cost that it's important to consider. So personnel, it's just personnel. Travel is just for travel. So indirect cost can be considered for almost anything. For more, if you want to have all the list, you can also see the Horizon Europe definition, and you can find more example on that. But it's just general, so you can put pretty much everything.
Okay, so it'd be like costs of the materials and things like that as well. That would go in indirect costs, I guess. Okay, we've another question here. I might direct this to Marita. So does an artist or designer necessarily need to have previous experience or projects in sustainable food?
No, because we will explore this area during the residencies. So it's not necessary, but they have to apply with a vision of these areas. So they have to know maybe some challenges that is currently facing.
Great. So that is all of the questions. So I think on that note, I would just like to thank everybody who's attended today for attending our final webinar on the open call. And I'd like to encourage artists to submit an application to our MUSAE Open First Open Call. And I'd just like to thank the presenters as well for your time this morning. And this has been recorded and it will be up on the MUSAE website if you'd like to listen to it back. So thank you everyone and have a lovely day. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you all.